Hi, everybody. My name's Eric, and I'm part of the Nuts4nuts team, aka United Snacks. And United Snacks is a company that sells roasted peanuts in through their fleet of push carts that are situated throughout New York City. In total, they have dozens of push carts throughout the city, and it's a very iconic thing with the city, instantly recognizable, and the aroma draws a lot of people in from the streets daily. Unfortunately for the business, they were hit pretty hard by COVID. There's lots of uncertainty around the business now, especially with the loss of foot traffic in New York City in general. And there's a need for the business to adapt to the times and also possibly an opportunity for them to expand with COVID. So there's two main options that we're looking at, one of which being geographic expansion into new areas, such as possibly Ann Arbor, which we're going to get into a little bit more, and also the option to expand more online. They had previously sold online, but there's a big opportunity there for that to become a very large portion of their business. And yeah, I'm going to hand it off to the other members of my team to go more in depth into these two solutions.
So the first solution that we're going to look into is geographic expansion. So particularly looking into the Ann Arbor area, as our sponsor Cliff seemed to be very interested in expanding into Ann Arbor. So this could be in terms of a retail space as well as potentially a manufacturing space in the back of a retail space. And in order to look into this, we plan to utilize Kresge resources as well as looking to see whether there are any spaces available in the Ann Arbor location, specifically South University, and then seeing the price that this would take, whether it falls into Cliff's budget, as well as whether it's in a good location. So then we will also look into some other strategies that I'll pass it off to someone else to talk about.
All right, so the second growth strategy we want to look into is e-commerce. With COVID, a lot of businesses are shifting their business model to an e-commerce based model where most of the sales are done online. This is a really strong potential avenue for Nuts4nuts. But another considerations we have along with this is that since the product that is being sold is a food item that is perishable, there's more considerations that need to go into shifting to an e-commerce or online based platform. We would have to do more research into seeing if the nuts are enjoyable and there is still customer demand for these nuts when they're not fresh off the street but rather packaged and maybe a few days older. So, with all these considerations into mind, we're going to do more research to see what is feasible in terms of e commerce.
So the last thing that we kind of want to look into is licensing and franchising. So Cliff has mentioned to us that there's been a lot of people either from the New York area or very familiar with it who are really big fans of Nuts4nuts, who've called him asking if they can sell it themselves, whether it be in their own store or as an actual Nuts4nuts push cart. And so we see this as kind of a way to bring alternative revenue to the business during COVID, and hopefully serve as a long-term stream of revenue that kind of differs from their traditional business model. So we'll continue to look into this to see if, beyond just calls, that there's really enough interest to get this off the ground, and also what the fee structure could look like, and some of the nitty gritty like that. So now I'll pass it off to Serena to close.
So going forward, we have these two strategies in mind, one being geographic expansion and one being e-commerce. So what we're going to need to do is research these growth strategies in depth and utilizing resources such as the Kresge library and also talking to Cliff, because we really need to come up with these marketing and financial plans for each of these strategies to see which ones are really feasible. And at the end, our goal is to kind of implement either one or two strategies or a combination of solutions that are implementable to help our client, who's Cliff.